everyone, my name is Michael Pernay, and today what I'll be doing is walking you through kind of a job cycle through Sage 100 Contractor. What we're going to do is we'll show you the job, how the job can be set up, run through some commitments, adding payroll, showing AR invoicing, and then some reporting around that project. So what I'm first going to do is I'm going to pull up my job. Now here, this is my job entry screen. And what I've done here is I've already set it up, but I want to talk through the fields with you. So what we're doing is we're assuming that our bid has already been accepted, the contract's been signed, and we're ready to get moving with this project. So here I do have a numbering system. What I like to use is the last two digits of the year and then just go in sequential order. So this is my fifth job of 2020, been a slow year. I then have my job name. Job name, this can be alphanumeric. I decided to get a little more descriptive here. Then we have short name. This is also alphanumeric if you want to get a little shorter with it, make it easier to find. We then can set our job statuses. Like I said, our bid has already been accepted, so this job is current. We do have, if you are going to be tracking bid jobs, which you can do through Sage 100 Contractor, we would set it to bid. Obviously, we have these others once it's complete or closed out. I will keep this at current. We also have job types. So job types are configurable to however you would like them. These are just the boilerplate options that I have currently. And this is a commercial contract job. I have my client, I have the address, any sales tax districts we need to account for, what payroll locale, which income account we want this to hit, and then which department. Also, I can mark this box to make sure that all payroll entered on this project is certified payroll. So when we run a certified payroll report, that will pull in for us. We then have contacts and personnel. So as you see, we have a few options here of people that we can track for this project, such as architect, lender, a couple user-defined options for you, who my estimator was, who my salesperson was, who the supervisor is, and then we can throw in the statement email for the person who's going to be receiving statements on the job. Also, then we have the main contact for Cornerstone Solutions, who will be, we will be in contact with for the project. We do have project dates and sales information. Now you'll see here we have plan received, bid completed, bid opening, so on and so forth. But what I've actually done is I've only filled in the contract signed because for this company, what's most important to me wasn't in this area. So what I did was I utilized our custom fields, which are right up here. They're very simple, very easy to use and add in. So here I have, has my job, my bid was accepted, the date the contract was signed, was the signed contract attached. I look here, I see the paperclip, there's a piece of paper. I can then actually open this PDF and see, make this a little bigger, and I could see here's the signed contract, there's Don Pernay, who we had as our main contact, we have his name right here, and we have it right there with the signature. So then I can say yes here. And then also contract type. So what I did here was I added a little bit more detail around this contract because my job type is saying, contract, but what type of contract are we talking about? Is it a lump sum? Is it progress billing, non-AIA? Is it T&M with a max? Is it unit billing? But for this one, it's progress billing, non-AIA. Also, what we have down here is we do have these buckets. And what's nice about this is where all the job information will be stored. It's in one central location, very easy to find and access. So for here, I just want to show my budget. So if I ever want to go back and look at my original budget, I can do so just by clicking this budget button right down here. We can see that we had 40 hours for site work, $2,000 total for labor, materials for painting, and then also labor around painting. Now what I'd like to do is I want to enter in a PO and apply it to this project because then we'll be able to come in here and actually see it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to purchase orders. And I just want to grab this very quickly. See, we can copy and paste, but I will do a new order number. I'm just going to use today's date. Order date is today. Vendor is Ramirez Materials. Then associated with the job. And what's nice about that is when I put the job in, it automatically pulls in that tax district. It sets it to job materials and puts in the address for the project. And then I'm going to copy and paste those items into here. And now here's where I can track some dates. I can track approved dates. When is the delivery scheduled? When was it actually delivered? How is it being delivered? Maybe we're going to do FedEx for here. What are my terms and status? I'm going to keep this as an open status for right now. And just so you know, with our POs, we can do job materials, temp utilities, equipment, office for inventory. You can also add in other types in here as well. But for this is job materials. Now, what I want to do here is get my pricing. So I know that I need 30. And by hitting enter, it's actually pulling these prices in directly from my parts database because I have these items set up there. We can go over. Now, what else is nice is I'm going to be able to associate this with the cost code and a cost type. Now, if these are for inventory, we could also designate what inventory location we wanted to go to. I'll pull my GL account. Now, for this demo company, I do have to have sub accounts, so I'll put that in there. But then I'm able to continue hitting enter in here. All right, so those are all my materials for painting. I'm now going to save this. And as you see here, I do have a column for to date. So what's been received today, because we can actually, we can partially receive if needed, or if we had any numbers that were canceled. But for right now, what I'm going to do is just leave this as is. Oh, and it looks like I got hit with a warning. The actual plus committed cost exceeds the budget and approved changes plus the tolerance amount. So actual plus committed cost is 887.51. So it's a 62.51 variance. Do you want to save anyway? So we do have warnings. We can't put controls in place for these. I'm going to go ahead and say yes. So now that purchase order is saved. And now what I'd like to do is add some labor to the project. We will revisit that purchase order in a second. So let me pull up my screen here for you. All right, great. So what I'm showing here is an app. Well, this is the website for it, but it's an app called Sage Field Operations. And this is a way for your people in the field to easily enter their time in. So no more paper time cards, filling out an Excel spreadsheet, sending it around. What's nice about this is I'm able to enter in payroll directly from the field and have it sent to accounting. Now there are approval processes we can set up for you as well, but just to show you how easy it is. Now I see my entries for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I have been doing the same job quite a bit. And now we're going to enter in time for today. So I hit these three buttons. I do time entry classic. It automatically pulls me in because that's who I'm logged in as. We can track start time if you like. You don't have to if you don't want to. I'm going to say which job I'm working on. Cornerstone parking lot. Now I select the cost code I worked on. It's only going to pull up the cost codes that are present in the budget. For this one, we only had 2, so it only pulls in those 2. We can also designate specific cost codes to specific employees if you have people who work in the same area routinely. Now I'm going to say I worked 8 hours today. I can add in some comments if I needed to, but I'm not going to. Now what I'll do is I'll save that time, and now we will see there's that entry for Thursday for the 8 hours. Down at the bottom here for the week, it's going to show me my weekly total of 32 hours, and it's all regular time. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to submit my weekly time. It's now going to pull up a screen for me to designate that the reported time entries are complete and accurate. I can add some comments and notes, but I'm just going to add a signature in here. And I'm going to submit this weekly time. Are you sure you want to submit hours to payroll? Yes, I am. So now my weekly hours have been submitted, and I want to show you what that looks like in Sage 100 Contractor. So we're going to stop mirroring here. Also, wanted to show you very quickly for some controls that we have through this app. I just received a notification of the timesheet that was submitted by me, and I'm able to see this all right here. So very nice, very simple, very quick, very easy to use. But let's go over to payroll and I'll show you that. So now I can go to daily payroll entry, and I can see that time for today. It pulls in the job, the cost code, pay type, pay rate, hours, everything. Now, what's nice about this is I can make changes here if necessary. So maybe Mike didn't actually work 8 hours. Excuse me. Mike didn't actually work 8 hours. Maybe Mike only worked, 7 hours today. Also, I'm going to do there is I wanted to change that to industrial. I could then look at Wednesdays. And now I see something different from Wednesday is the pay rate should actually be $55. So now I can go back to Thursday. Ooh, I skipped a little too far ahead. And notice that I need to make that change this to 55. I can now save. That's been saved. And what we're going to do now is create time cards. So what these time cards are going to do is actually create a payroll record that can then be processed completely through payroll. So we'll make this very simple. The period start date will be Sunday. Period end date, we'll just make it today. Check date, we'll make it today as well. We got quick turnaround. Puts in my quarter. I could do an employee pick list if needed, but I'm just going to do these because the only ones I have are for Mike, as we just saw. I'll create these. That's been completed. So now when I go to a payroll record and I go to my most recent, there's Mike Pernay, period start date, period end date, check date. It has Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and it has the job, what cost code, pay type, hours, everything is right here for me. We don't have calculations yet, but here we go. So now what I want to show you is a committed cost report because we do have a purchase order on the project, which we can now see right here in the purchase order bucket for the $887.51. And we do have that payroll that we just submitted. So I'm going to pull in my committed cost report. I want to include uncomputed payroll, and we want to show purchase orders. So now I'm just going to put in my job 2005, and I will run this. And we can put in a 10% labor burden. All right, so this is my committed costs. I have the original budget, and if there are any changes to that, what that amount would be. Cost to date, we don't necessarily have any cost to date because payroll hasn't been completely computed yet. And also, we have not received the PO, so an invoice has not been created, but we do have committed costs. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drill in, and we're also over budget. But as you can see here, there's two items in here. I have my PO for $805, and then I have my accrued payroll. So what it does is the software is able to look at items that are still open that you've committed to that you need to take, account for, whether they've been fully processed yet or not. And if we wanted to, we could then drill in and go into the payroll record to see that record. And then the PO, we can then drill in and see the PO. All right. Oh, okay. So now what I'd like to do is I'm going to, excuse me, I'm going to receive the PO and then have the invoice created automatically. So give me 1 second here. We'll do a PO receipt. Order was today's date. Shipping number. Okay. Put in status review. And now what it does is just by putting in the order number, it pulls in all the items from that purchase order. So now I can come in and say, what are the quantity I received? We're going to receive this fully. I will then save. We can print a receipt if we want to, because then what we can actually do with this receipt is we could save it as a PDF and attach it to the PO. So then we have that receipt on the PO. We could also attach it to the invoice that was just created if we wanted to as well. So now it's pretty, pretty standard. And now when I go to that purchase order that we did, and I go to invoices, there's the invoice that was automatically generated for me for the $887.52. So now we do, not only is it not a committed cost, now it's a full cost because it's been costed to the project. And it creates that invoice automatically for me. Furthermore, when we go back to the project screen and I go to this AP invoices bucket, it'll now be there as well. And I can always drill back into it. And this gives you a nice little snapshot of the data associated with the invoice, as in, what was the total? Have we paid anything on it yet? Was there any retention on it? What's the balance and what's due? So, if you have anything that you paid partially, less than the original balance left, it'll have the net to right there for you. And you can always drill into it to bring it back up. Now what I'd like to do is just create a quick AR invoice and go over, a couple options that we have for you. First option I'm going to show you is the simplest. We can go into accounts receivable, AR invoice. I'll give it today's date. And we will call this 2005. We then will associate the job. Invoice date can be today. Due date, so it's automatically going to pull in the due date for me for the terms. Discount date, it's not, we don't have a discount on this project, so it's just going to pull in today's date. Status of open, contract. All right, now I can go to contract summary. So what the software is going to do is it's going to look back at job 2005 Cornerstone parking lot and actually pull in the contract summary. So as my original contract, if we had any changes, what the new contract is. Now, I received a memo from my project manager that we're 50% complete on this job. So all I need to do is type in 50 here, click update invoice, or calculate, sorry, and then we can do update invoice. And it's going to pull that in 50% complete, pulls everything in for me. Very easy, very quick, very simple to do. Now, another way, I'm not going to save this. Another option we have is if you need to do any sort of progress billing with a bit more of a breakdown. I've already set one up here, but what we have here now is my, my Cornerstone parking lot. It's my first application, and it's going to pull in the budget. So now maybe we need to do, get a little bit more detailed here. So what I'll do here is hide a couple columns for us. So here I have that we're 50% complete on both items, but maybe, we're 35% complete here and we're 60% complete there. Now all I have to do is click the calculate, and we're going to do the columns based off that. So now what it does, it looks at that 35% and that 60%, and it adds it up for me and actually sets this up. So down here we have the schedule, what our total percent complete is, scheduled, what is current, what's the balance, if there's anything taxable, what's our retention, and what's our invoice, current due and invoice amount. So then what I'd be able to do from here is, I'm going to save it, whoops, and if I needed to print out anything, a little more formal, we're then able to get our progress billing report. So since it's application 1, there was nothing previously billed, and then we can see our full schedule on the second page right here. So I'm going to go ahead and submit and post. That's okay. So now it has a status of submitted, and said I needed a sub account. Let's post that again. It's going to create an invoice for me. We'll post the billing. It's going to create an AR invoice for me automatically. And that AR invoice has been completed. So now, back to the job to get more information here. So now what you'll see is the current balance has now been updated because I have an AR balance out there because of that invoice that we just created from that progress bill. Also, we do have the AP in here. Excuse me. We have the POs that are in their original budget. And we have the AR invoice now. And it's my progress billing number 1, which was automatically created for me, takes off the retention as well, and has the net due right there. So lastly, what I want to show you is what we consider our WIP report. It's our over under billings report for this project to kind of show everything that was just done in one nice clean report. So what I'll do here, project management, job reports, over under billing report. We will do extended, and I want to do it just for that job. Great. So what it's done is it's pulling my over under billings report for me. It's going to show me my total contract, what our estimated costs were, estimated gross profit. It then has my percent complete, what's been billed, what costs have we had, and what's our income. It then lets me know if I'm overbilled or underbilled, what my earned revenue is, cost of that revenue, and gross profit at completion. So, everything we just did comes into this nice report, which I know most people aren't able to get in just a few clicks like we were able to. Most people have to, take a few different reports, push them out to Excel, then combine them, put in some formulas to then get this information. But now with Sage 100 Contractor, everything's consolidated, everything is job centric, and it's together in one place. That's all I had for today's demo. I hope you enjoyed what you saw. If you have any questions, comments, feel free to leave a comment on the video, send me an email, or give me a phone call. Thanks and have a nice day.